Welcome to r/entitled people. In today's stories, someone is upset because someone else's husband is married. How dare you buy food when I need cigarettes? A woman blocks an ambulance with tragic consequences. A girl takes selfies on someone else's car. And entitled family parks on someone else's drive. What is up, guys, and I do hope you're well. I'm sorry I haven't been posting this week. As I said before, I was on holiday. I did buy an expensive laptop to try and edit, but I couldn't upload due to the internet connection, which was so poor. Anyways, if you are new here and you do enjoy this content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe even that notification bell. And with that being said, let's get started. Our first story is from Zelda Spell Factory. Entitled Idiot is upset because my husband is married. When my now adult daughter was almost 3, we had a regular monthly family dinner plan. We'd go to a used bookstore that was near a Mexican place we liked and a McDonald's which our kids liked. The Mexican restaurant would let us sit on the porch and bring Happy Meals there for the kids. One night our son, older than our daughter, was at a sleepover, so we were a party of 3. After eating, we went to the used bookstore. We had a stroller with us that our daughter could sit in if she got too tired. She was an easy kid who'd just climb into the little stroller and chill, or snooze if we're not done browsing. I was looking at cookbooks while my husband was in the kids section with our daughter. I noticed some red-headed chick talking to my husband. I went back to the books for a couple of minutes, and when I look up, the woman is still talking, but more talking at him than to him. He was starting to look very uncomfortable. I could tell she is hitting on him by the way she held up his hand and pointed to his wedding ring. Being me, I let this play out for a few minutes, mostly to laugh about with him later. As I watch, my daughter goes to him and wraps her arms around him. She gives this woman the nastiest look I've ever seen on her face. I start to walk over because I can tell my daughter is about to say something to this woman that I will laugh at or need to intervene because of. As I get to them, my daughter tells the woman that her daddy already has a mummy for her, and if she doesn't get away from him, she's going to puke on her. My daughter has always had the ability to vomit at will. What kind of superpower is this? She had already weaponized it against one of my male relatives with a weak stomach. The woman, not knowing I was behind her, told my daughter that her daddy didn't have a mummy to go with him, and daddies needed mummies. My daughter looked at me with that clearly stated, "She's an idiot. Get her away from me now." I walked past the woman and up to my husband. I put my arm around him and lean into him. Then I put my hand wearing the wedding ring up on his chest as I look at her. The redhead doesn't even have the sense to just leave the area. She had to start to rant about how I should have been right by him if I wanted to keep him, how he should go with her and divorce me because she would never be away from him, and how I don't deserve a man and she does. So she is just going to replace me and raise my kids as her own. I look up at my husband and ask how he kept getting the weirdos that don't have elevators that go all the way up to want to replace me. Redhead chick loses it and starts saying she wants to fight me over him, that whichever one of us wins gets to keep him. I asked her if she seriously thought that I would bother with a fight. He was already mine, and I didn't believe in fights. I just shoot to kill. Then this lunatic starts screaming that I'm trying to kill her. At that point, my daughter had enough. She walked over to the lady and waited till the stupid woman bent down to talk to her. Then my daughter puked all over her, and sort of up onto her neck, so that when she stood up, lots of it ran down her shirt. Staff was already on the way over, and wanted to know why the lady was screaming. I told him she was hitting on my husband, and then wanted to fight me for him. I didn't know why she suddenly started saying I wanted to kill her, to shoot her. I didn't even own a gun. She was just being an idiot. Then she got my daughter all upset, and my daughter puked. I cleaned up our daughter, and had her rinse out her mouth. On the way home, my husband insisted we stop and buy her some ice cream. When I asked my daughter why she thought she needed to puke on the lady, my daughter told me that we had already wasted enough time and it was clearly going nowhere, so she ended it. My daughter has always had a way of cutting through the garbage in life. Oh, it's one of those stories that's like so crazy that's so hard to believe. But imagine that, having the ability to puke at will as a weapon, a biological weapon to end things. Absolutely insane. I bet there are some people that can actually do that. That's crazy. So what would you do in that situation, being either the man or the woman? How would you act if like someone was hitting on your wife or your husband? How would you deal with that situation? I'd love to know in the comments below. Our next story is from Sophisaurus Rex, and what a fantastic name, I must say. How dare you buy food when I need cigarettes? Backstory, I live in a town with a lot of entitled choosing beggars. My family's been tight for cash for the past few months because I have to be driven to the next town over for school and gas is expensive. I'm in a family of 7. Cast, me, my mum, entitled person, EP. The story starts when my mum got $40 from my stepdad. He lives far away for work and visits as much as possible. So mum and I rush over to the supermarket to get some groceries. We go around the store and get the essentials. We then go to the checkout when EP spots us. EP says, "Oh hey mum, can I borrow $50 for some smokes? I'll pay you back on payday." He didn't work. My mum said, "Sorry mate, I don't have any money for smokes. That's why I quit." "Well, if you don't have any money, what's all that?" And points at me stacking a small amount of groceries on the conveyor belt. My mum getting annoyed. "That's our food for the rest of the week. I have no extra money for smokes. As I said, I can't even afford it anymore." The EP then says, "Yeah, I don't care that you don't smoke. I need smokes and I'll pay you back." He wouldn't. My mum, "I have no money to give you. I only have $40 for this." The groceries. "I'll take the $40, just put the food back." "No, I need the food to feed my kids." "God, you're selfish. I said I would pay you back." And then storms off. After that, mum and I laughed about the EP stupidity while ignoring his death glares. Imagine that, just a family just trying to feed itself like with hardly any money at all. And this guy's walking off, just giving them the cut eye. Oh man. Sad story alert. Our next story is from Asiathro, something like that. Woman feels inconvenienced by a 16-year-old who is on the brink of death after a car accident. I read this news article. It's in German, so I'll give you the rundown. A 16-year-old motorcycle driver was hit by a truck. The paramedics had to treat him on the spot so that he have a chance of survival. This didn't sit right with a 50-year-old driver who claimed that she had an important appointment, and the resulting traffic jam was getting in the way of that. The police told her to calm down and get back to her car. Well, she didn't like that and started to harass them non-stop, screaming, cursing, getting out of her car to nag them because she was running late. After all, it was just a single motorcycle driver. How long can this take? Sadly, the boy dies later in hospital, and the bitch is facing charges for blocking the corridor for emergency vehicles and resisting enforcement officers. I hope the poor guy at least gets entertainment out of haunting her for the rest of her miserable existence. I never understand people who do this. I've actually seen this on motorways in the UK, like people actually sitting in front of an ambulance and not moving. It's absolutely sickening. And I don't know what the sort of charge is for those, but you know, if she was really part of the purpose that this person had died, surely it should be, is it manslaughter? It's absolutely nuts. Our next story is from Light Ray, 1943. Entitled girl takes selfies on my cousin's car and gets the crap beat out of her. Mobile. So my cousin has this really nice pickup she got for her 15th birthday and drives it all the time. She's never had issues with her having a car at a young age, since she doesn't exactly look like your average 15-year-old. 5'10", mature build, and looks way older than me, 19, 5'1", baby face. She drives her car to school every day and never gives any one of her friends a ride. One day she was leaving school and walked down the street a bit to where she parked her car. She never parks her car in student parking because of a lot of irresponsible teen drivers, and she always parks off school property. When she gets there, she finds a girl sitting on the hood of her car taking selfies. My cousin doesn't like this and proceeds to ask the girl what the heck she was doing. "I'm just taking pics of my car," she said in a "I have a car, you don't" kind of tone. "Really now?" my cousin said with the keys in her hand. "Yeah, really. Now you can leave, you're ruining the mood." She continued to take selfies, and my cousin unlocked her car with a remote and climbs in and starts the car with a girl trying to get off the hood. It's a pretty tall car, so getting off it isn't easy. She moves a couple inches and the girl slips off and starts yelling at my cousin. "What's your problem? I could have seriously gotten hurt. You're effing insane." My cousin just looks at the girl and says in a mocking tone, "Surprised you're not more upset about me being in your car." This girl then gets mad, then tried to force my cousin's car door open, but it was locked. The moment she gives up, my cousin opens it really quick, hits her with the door, closes it and drives off. The next day she's walking back to her car. She sees that girl again, but this time with 2 other girls. I guess she had a plan of jumping my cousin but forgot to tell her friends what my cousin actually looks like. She then gets all up in my cousin's face, trying to seem threatening, but she's only a couple of inches taller than me. Then the girl shoves my cousin, and her response was a good punch to the face, leaving her with a bloody nose and her friends trying to get her up to run away, all the while the girl's screaming, "Is that all you got? I will kick your ass." My cousin just gets in her truck and goes home. The next day, that girl tries to get my cousin in trouble with the principal, but since this happened off school property, there was nothing they could do. Moral of the story, don't mess with my cousin's truck. I don't think I'll mess with your cousin either. She sounds absolutely insane. Just like throws her off the truck, gets in, drives off. Next day, punch in the face, drives off. What would you do if someone was sitting on your truck like that? Because, you know, if they climb on cars and sit on cars and things, they leave minute scratches. I'm very obsessed about my cars. Like, if someone rubs against it with their zip scrapes against it, I'm like, oh my god, what have you done? You scratched it. So what would you do in that situation? Our final story is from Cuddled Cutie. Family parks in our driveway and wants to sue us because we towed their car. My family lives 2 minutes away from a very nice little Chinese restaurant. It's quite popular but got limited parking, and visitors always have to park a few minutes away. Around 10 minutes away is a good spot that is even advertised by the restaurant. A few weeks ago, a family apparently thought that the 10 minutes by foot are way too much and decided to park in our driveway directly in front of our garage. Don't get me wrong, you definitely can't mistake our driveway for a normal parking space. We have flowers and a small tree surrounding it, like a small front yard. Anyway, we don't really know when they arrived, but when my mum came home at about 7 PM, the car was already there. She parked on the side of the road and went inside, thinking we had guests. When neither my dad nor me had anyone over, my parents asked all of our immediate neighbours, and when no one knew whose car it was, we waited for an hour and called the towing service. It was 9 PM by then. They came and they took the car away. At around 11 PM, someone rang at our door. Who would have guessed it? It was the family who owned the car. A mum, a dad, and 2 brats. When my dad opened, already peed because it was late, they started to scream in his face. "Where is our car? We parked it here and went to the restaurant. Why is it gone?" This got my mum's attention too. My dad wanted to stay calm and told them that this was our private property and they illegally parked there and that we got their car towed. After they heard that, the parents completely freaked out. The screaming and name calling that followed made their kids cry, and my dad closed the door on them. We then went on with our evening. An hour late, let me remind you, it was 12 AM by now. The doorbell rang again. My mum already went to bed and me and my dad were in our pyjamas. We both went up to the door. The police stood in front of us. They told us that the family that stood behind them and had waited for an hour in front of our house accused us that we totaled their car and ignored them. We told them what happened after they didn't see a total car anywhere and were in our house. They believed us pretty quick. The officers told us they're sorry and left with the family in tow. Haha, good pun. After that, nothing really happened until we got a bill in the mail. They seriously sent us a bill from the towing and demanded us pay for it or else they would sue us. My family consulted a lawyer and he told us just to ignore it, they can't do anything. After that, we didn't hear from them again. Thanks for reading and sorry for the bad English. I'm from Germany, so you might find a few mistakes. Edit, I talked to my parents today. We actually had to pay the towing service, a little over €200. That's why my parents got the lawyer involved in the first place. We should get that money back pretty easy. The letter we got was from the family. They didn't get a lawyer, just typed the letter. They told us in the letter that they won't pay the towing service bill and they had to get their car fixed and want us to pay their costs. But since we didn't touch the car in any way, our lawyer said we shouldn't be worried. We even have neighbours who can vouch for us. Sorry I wasn't informed enough. Oh, the fact that you had to pay anyway, it's just rubbish, that is. My brother has a garage round his. His garage is like separate from the house. It's like, I don't know, almost like a 3-minute walk from the garage from the house, and people park in front of it because he's quite close to a town centre. They really take the mick, but my brother doesn't take no prisoners. He's got like for his job, he's got like quite a big truck, and he literally just ties something to the back axle of their car and drags it out into the road and just leaves it there. It's absolutely brutal, but so good to see because my brother isn't someone who takes much crap. So when they come back, they don't argue with me either. You just see them sheepishly get in their car and go, with my brother just staring at them. Quite beautiful, I must say. How would you handle the situation if someone parked on your drive? Bearing in mind all the implications of like costs and lawyers and all that sort of stuff, because I know you can't just go up to it and just damage their car, because you know you get in trouble yourself. So how would you deal with that situation? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway guys, just a massive thank you for sticking with me. As always, it really means the world, and I know some of you guys love the sort of the personal touch you get from this channel, and I love to give it. If you don't, let me know in the comments below as well, because obviously I want to supply you with what you enjoy in the first place. Otherwise, what is the point? But thank you so much guys for sticking with me. Love you. Take care. Bye bye.